an MLS season preview with the Hall of Famer John Freeman Nelson of OSG Sports in Atlanta. We're going to find out what Atlanta United will do. Giancarlo Lino will find out Giancarlo's Vancouver Whitecaps picks. Vancouver Whitecaps. He picks the Vancouver Whitecaps to win the MLS Cup. And Carmen Asako, who looks like he's busy driving all the way to Nino D'Aversa. Thanks a lot.
Nino D'Aversa.
Let's go out to celebrate your dinner. My birthday dinner. No call, no nothing.
Giancarlo, didn't we say, hey, okay, you give us a couple of days and we'll meet you? Did we not say that?
No. See, he said no. Look.
Wow.
All right. Anyways, let's get to it. MLS is back. MLS is back tomorrow.
Those are 3 bad words for every club in Major League Soccer except for Portland. You never want to use MLS is back.
All right. Well, we won't use it, but they're back with an apple. All right. You know what happens with an apple? An apple a day keeps you away from the doctor, except if you're Carmen Asako, who wants to visit the doctor all the time, right? Right, Carmen?
Oh, God.
All right. So let's first start off with John with Atlanta United. What do you realistically expect with Atlanta United this year?
I'll go with President and CEO Garth Lagerwey's appraisal, home playoff game for starters. I think that if everyone is healthy, and remember last year you had 20 different injuries from 17 different players, and you had 37 players get minutes last year for Atlanta United. Then you're getting Brad Gazan back. You're getting Miles Robinson back. Ozzie Alonso's on the mend. Derek Etienne is starting to finally get minutes after the knock that he picked up in Columbus late last year. So all of the folks, all of your big guns that were that you missed last year, they are healthy or getting healthier. And so you got the spine of your club intact. You've got Thiago Almada, who won a World Cup for Argentina. You've got Luis Araujo on the right-hand side, who wants to atone for a poor, even by his appraisal, 2022. So it's going to be really interesting. I mean, you got Brooks Lennon on the right-hand side. I mean, you got two of the best fullbacks, I think, in Major League Soccer, and Andrew Gutman and Brooks Lennon, who do two entirely different things. They don't just bomb up and bomb back. They do two entirely different things. So I think that with everyone healthy, I think that a home playoff game, I think, is a fair expectation for everybody with Atlanta United.
Do you agree, Giancarlo, with his expertise with Atlanta United?
I do. I think they're going to have a nice bounce back year, new era there for them. Joseph Martinez, obviously, that was a big player for their whole existence and their championship. And now it's a turning of a chapter. I think they'll be a little bit more successful. I don't think it's going to be like a long-term rebuild for them. I do see them getting a playoff game this year.
Carm?
Yeah. First and foremost, when you talk to Garth Lagerwey, Johnny, ask him who the best goalkeeper in the ACC was when he.
Oh, I will most certainly do that.
Didn't work out too well for that best goalkeeper because he's driving his car.
We had a town hall with Garth a couple nights ago, actually, and we got to talk about his time with Hampton Roads Mariners and in Major League Soccer, and we talked about it. We talked about his dreads, and we talked about his time with the New Orleans Riverboat Gamblers, in addition to everything else with Atlanta United. It was a really fun conversation where we talked about pretty much every stop that he had along the way that has the most obscure gear possible. And I think he had time with I think it was either Miami or Tampa. And he's waiting for his kids to go to school before he puts all those jerseys from the dead MLS teams in frames and have them in his office.
By the way,
now you got something to talk about. Tell him you know me.
All right.
See if it brings
I will.
memories.
You got
an idea for the next book.
Yeah.
But in saying that, Atlanta sucks.
By the way, this Atlanta United segment is brought to you by Noble Strong. It's something that Carmen still hasn't gotten.
Yes.
Still that.
You're supposed to give me a copy.
Yeah, I'm supposed to get a birthday present from you, but I still never mind. All right, so we talked about Atlanta.
Carlos and I said, Joe, let us know when you're available.
All right.
Anyway,
I'm available. I'm available. Are you driving right now to my house?
Joseph,
I'm available right now after the show. No. I'm
I just
available
finished an exhibition.
tomorrow. Tomorrow. Are you available tomorrow? No.
I can't take these guys anywhere. I can't.
All right.
Can we
So
talk
look,
about Atlanta? Can we talk about how bad Atlanta's going to be?
Okay. Let's hear it. All right, you're gonna go shots fired out of the blocks. All right, let's hear it.
No. I honestly think the best thing that happened to Atlanta was getting Joseph Martinez off the books. He's now joined the rest of the dedication game group. They just go play futsal and play pretty much five-a-side soccer at Inter Miami the whole time. But yeah, I think that. But they do need that DP. They do need that striker that's going to make a difference on that team. I think that they're lacking that right now.
We're waiting for the visa to clear. Picking up Yakamakis from Celtic, and we picked up Miguel Berry from DC United. So we're waiting on Yakamakis to get all of his paperwork in, and then he'll be the number 9 up top. He'll be that change of pace for Almada, Aruju, Etienne, and everybody else who's coming forward.
All right, I
think it's a more complete team. I think it's now. I think if they do solve the problem at 9, I think there'll be and Guzan coming back because he was a massive hole. Not only as far as shot stopping and goalkeeping, just leadership on the field that you kind of saw that went out the window. But I think that yeah. But I mean, again, in the Atlanta situation at Allianz Stadium, they have to entertain. That has to be an entertaining team too. They can't just be a practical team. There's different expectations for that group as well. So I think that that will be a good thing for the league and for the game, but not necessarily in the best results for Atlanta all the time.
All right, so I got a question for Carmen. Will Toronto FC do better than Atlanta, or will Atlanta do better than Toronto FC?
Sorry, what was that?
Will TFC be better team this year than Atlanta, or will Atlanta be better than TFC?
No, there's a lot of quality in their starting 11, but the big question again is they're playing that 4-3-3, probably with Bradley alone. Is he going to be able to cover the space that he once used to? Because Insigne and Bernadeschi are going to cheat. Most of the time, they're going to cheat defensively. And will they?
We can't hear you now. You have Dr. Pepper in you from Atlanta, all right? So Giancarlo will take over for you right now.
Wow. Dr. Pepper.
Carmen looks like he's in midpoint. He's dropping knowledge right now.
He likes my haircut. He likes the scarves from John Nelson. Like he's still talking.
Oh yeah. I don't think he can either hear or
give him a red card, Giancarlo. Give him a red card.
He's making a great point. It looks like it's a very passionate one right here.
That's a fantastic point he's making right now. Absolutely.
For all we know, he could be saying the gas prices are amazing right now.
Should I get a haircut now, or should I get a haircut after my team wins this weekend? All right, Giancarlo, you want to take over for him? Is TFC going to have a better year than Atlanta United?
I think so. Not just being biased, but I just think that you have Insigne and Bernadeschi for the full season now. You have them in training camp. You have them actively involved with your roster. You don't have to bring them up to speed. They know what they're getting into now. Bradley's had the whole offseason to talk with them and get their style of play together with his guys, mesh well. And you have Osorio, Mark Anthony Kaye coming off the World Cup where they're going to want to turn that around. Obviously, they didn't start every game or play to what they hoped they were going to be long-term in the tournament. So this is a proving season for those two. And Bradley, does he still have it to cover that space defensively like Carmen was mentioning? So I think they could turn around. Sean Johnson, I think, is an unbelievable goalkeeper. And you have that back line there, the assistance with Hedges. So I think this could be a good year for TFC.
All right, it's Carm back. Can we hear you from Carm? Can you say a word? All right.
No, he can't.
This is the best Carmen has ever heard.
Oh, wow.
We can't hear you. We cannot hear you.
We
Here.
can. What? Wow.
Listen. You
Oh.
don't give. Who's that finger for? It's Giancarlo or what?
Oh, I
I
figured
think it's for the car next to him.
I figured
It's
I was
definitely for the car
figured
next
I
to him.
was number one with all of my Atlanta United commentary.
Somebody cut him off on the road.
So yeah, he's out here. So let me ask John. Go back to John. He'll come in. Let's see. He's back in here. 1 second. Can we hear you?
No.
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 You're done. Get out.
All
You're
right.
done.
Give him the finger. Give him the finger.
You're done. We
All
can't
right.
hear you.
So here we go, John. We talked about Atlanta and somewhat a little bit TFC. We'll talk about more with TFC. Myself, Giancarlo, maybe Carmen comes in here. But any surprise team? Give me your surprise team this year in the MLS.
Wow, surprise team. Okay. I'm going to sit here and look at the standings and see if there's anybody who's going to be a surprise. Let's see. In the East, well, not necessarily a surprise. I mean, you could look at Orlando as a surprise, considering what happened last season, winning U.S. Open Cup. Can they repeat and maybe move increase their lot in life? Perhaps. In the West, wow. I mean, the only teams I can think of that could be surprises, maybe a Sporting Kansas City, considering that they will have had a full training camp with the guys that they brought in the summer transfer window. I mean, at the beginning of the season, Sporting Kansas City, I mean, I did it and you did too. We all threw dirt on Peter Vermes, saying it was the end of the line because of how awful they were. Then they brought in the summer transfers, and then they didn't finish last, but they did finish well. So perhaps a Sporting Kansas City getting in toward the bottom of the playoff run. You're looking for teams that I think that are going to drop this season. I think Minnesota right now probably is not going to be a playoff team, and I'm also looking at it, NYCFC, considering everybody that you've lost in the offseason. So I don't know if you'll necessarily have surprises. I just think that you may have teams that were above the playoff bar last year, below it this year because of the pieces that they're missing. I mean, Minnesota United not having a Bebelo Reynoso. The joke is right now that you may as well just call him Reyno Show with his legal issues, and you don't know when that's going to be resolved. You just don't. And I think that without Reynoso, Minnesota United is in a lot of trouble. And I think that with NYC, with all the pieces that left in the offseason, we had Glenn Crooks on the show, on the morning show earlier this week, and it's now going to be a lot of faith in the younger players for NYCFC. And you're looking at, who's the number one keeper? Is it Matt Freese? Is it the other guy that they brought in since Sean Johnson, the pride of Brookwood High School here in the Atlanta area, is now a part of TFC? You're going to have a lot of faith in guys like Talis Magno. Santi Rodriguez is supposed to be back in the fold, but that's not official yet. You're going to have, Tavon Gray at the back, Keaton Parks coming off of a really horrendous injury, and surgeries and treatments with that. So I think that NYCFC is trending downward for me. I think that Minnesota is trending downward for me, and I think that Sporting Kansas City is probably trending up. Do they make it into the playoffs? I don't know.
All right, Giancarlo, hold on. Let's see if we could hear.
Let's see if we can hear him. No.
All right, enough with you, Carm. You have nothing to say here. I'll translate.
Yeah.
All right. He's saying my hair looks good. John, your scarves are fantastic here. He's driving. He's driving all the way to Nino da Versa because he. Carm, come in, come out, and get this microphone or phone to work.
Wow.
What is this? He is not driving now. He's not driving. He's trying to show that he needs a new car.
Oh, Toyota.
A Toyota or a Beamer? What is that? All right,
that's a Toyota.
Enthralling TV there. Enthralling. All right, Giancarlo, go ahead. Wait, he's coming back in. Let's see if we could hear him now. Go ahead, Carm.
Nope.
No. Get out of here.
Wow.
All right. So, Giancarlo, go ahead.
I'm going to go with Charlotte. Swiderski. He's gonna take it up a notch this year. I think Swiderski last year he had a nice little season there. Introduction to MLS. He's gonna build on that. We're gonna be talking about Swiderski in the Golden Boot race at the end of the year.
All right, so then let's play this out. And you can't, and because of the new playoff format, which is a show in and of itself, and that when that news broke,
talk about that after
30 minutes. All right, so then taking your thought, Giancarlo. All right, so here's how we're looking. You got 9 teams that make the playoffs now. In the East, we'll just go yes, no. Do you think Atlanta makes the playoffs?
Yeah.
Montreal.
You know what? No. I'm going to say no for now.
Charlotte, I imagine you have them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chicago.
No.
Columbus.
Yeah.
DC.
Wayne Rooney. Yeah. I'll go yeah.
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Miami.
No.
Nashville.
No. Borderline.
Wow. New England.
Yeah.
NYC.
Again, borderline. Maybe.
Red Bulls.
Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there'll be a wild card.
The Red Bulls will make it in because they could fly. You know, Red Bull give you wings.
Orlando.
Another one. You know what? I'll go yeah. Surprise there.
Philly.
Yeah.
Toronto.
Terry Silver. Yeah.
Toronto, he's going to say yes.
So that's 10. You got to bump somebody out. So you got 10.
That's where the wild card comes in. I think there's going to be.
You got 10 teams, 9 spots. So who's your wild card?
Orlando.
I think we're going to see. I know Montreal, they were a great story last year. I just don't know how they're going to do it this year. You lose key pieces. I think they're going to be a wild card. I think the Red Bulls and Nashville. Mukhtar was amazing, but again, carrying that over to another year, I think TFC takes one of those spots, and I think you're going to have a battle in Nashville, Montreal, NYC.
I think you're daft, but yeah. Okay, so that's all right. So you got your 9 teams, and so now that you said Charlotte, now you can continue the Charlotte discussion because I just wanted to see who you had making it into the playoffs, and so Charlotte, is in. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah, I just think Swiderski, he's a guy that I think could be a star over there. It's under the radar because of how he came in and maybe can get those goals. But I think having that experience, being around Lewandowski, continuing to be around those players at the national team, he's a guy that will eventually get his minutes there. So I think the future's bright for Swiderski, and I think we'll be talking about him in the Golden Boot race. And I can obviously be completely wrong, but I'm going to be optimistic with Swiderski.
Okay.
All right.
Wait.
I heard Carmen. I heard him. I heard that car.
We hear it. We heard the car.
Carm?
I'm here.
All right, good. Wait, I got breaking news. And this is, I think all of us know I got breaking news. I just was texted this literally at 12:49. Stephen Buffy, famously of the Toronto Sun, has chosen to take a buyout. He is leaving the Toronto Sun. Of course, he has covered, anywhere from hockey and baseball, TFC and everything like that. But Stephen Buffy is gone from the Toronto Sun. That's just breaking news. And I know Giancarlo, he sits just ahead of us. He's at TFC games and all that. So he's a good member of the media here. So, and he's a very funny guy. But Stephen Buffy has left the Toronto Sun. There you go. There's news there. But Carm, are you back?
Yeah, I'm. If you can hear me, I am. I just can't figure out the camera.
All right, we can hear you. We can hear you. So now, Carm, I asked them if give me a couple surprise teams in the MLS. So you go ahead, and then we'll talk about, because John wants to talk about the playoff format.
Yeah, I heard John say the opposite, like the Minnesota maybe not making the playoffs, not doing enough to kind of change things, like get things organized. But what I do see is, I do see Montreal obviously losing Nancy, who did a fantastic job with that group. I think that's going to be massive for them. And Montreal might be, you never know. They're going to surprise some people. There's still ability there, but I just don't know if Quintero is going to be enough going forward, and different other. They just need to buy. They need to buy, and they just need to be a little more productive. I'm not sure what Joey Saputo's thinking right now, but there hasn't been an answer as far as players. So that would be another team that I would add to John's list. With Minnesota. I'm interested to see how Portland's going to do. Is Portland going to be? Are they going to have a better start than usual? Are they going to be chasing things the whole time like they do? Again, is the Savarese effect gonna be positive or negative? So lots of question marks, I think, in Portland as well, because that team is built around Savarese's mentality and attitude, and so I think that there's going to be a lot of changes there. And then the CONCACAF champions, Seattle. How are they gonna? They didn't make the playoffs last year, guys. So there's a lot of changes that need to be made there, and it'll be interesting to see how they change.
Giancarlo, stop texting me. He's not driving to Market Lane, all right? So stop texting me that. All right. Before we get to the playoff format, let's talk. John, maybe you're the one to talk about this Apple deal with MLS. What if it's not successful? Where do they go? I think it's a 10-year deal, or how long is it?
It's 10 years and $2.5 double extra large is what it is.
Wow.
Yeah, $2.5 billion.
Almost the salary that you, Giancarlo and Carmen, get paid. But take us through. They have exclusive rights.
Affect our Canadian teams. Are all games still on TSN, or only a select few?
Select few on TSN and RDS. You get, I think, one a week, and they're trying to budget out each of the three franchises north of the border to where you get to see. You're not just going to be seeing with that one per week. You're not just going to be seeing Toronto all the time. So you will get some Montreal in there, and you will get some Vancouver in there as well.
Well, for example, tomorrow they will show the TFC game, but regionally, if you have TSN in Montreal, which is I think TSN 3, they're based out of Montreal, you can see it. So it's regionally, you can see your team for the first couple weeks. Then I don't know what they're gonna do or anything like that. They're the game of the week or the match of the week or anything like that. But how does that affect the United States here? Because most teams are in the U.S. or whatever. So is there blackouts? Let's say if Atlanta United plays whoever and they can't watch it.
Nope, no blackouts. You have partners here in the States who are going to be. I think they're going to get their games of the week. It's going to be Fox/FS1. It's going to be Fox Deportes on the Spanish broadcast side, which was the big surprise that TUDN did not want to be a part of it. And so it's going to be Fox and FS1, and I think ESPN has a handful of matches. But there's going to be a provider you have an over-the-air look and you have the Apple look. And the short version is this: with Apple, they are probably treating this as some kind of a test balloon for other sports. I mean, you'd think that maybe the test balloon was baseball and that they're being serious with Major League Soccer, with production and everything. You have to think of this like a TV series. It's probably the best way that I can phrase it, where you have X number of episodes with each team, and how are you going to maximize the revenue with each episode of this series that involves your favorite team. So you have the whip around show. You have the pre-night show at 7 Eastern for the games that start at 7:30. You've got the end of the night show when all the games go final at probably 12 midnight, going for however long it goes. You have all the other ancillary programming during the week. For Apple, it is how do we maximize revenue, and how do we figure out, how do we either recoup our investment? Is this a loss leader, or are you floating a trial balloon for other things? Say when the Premier League contract is up in 7 years, are you trying to treat this as your petri dish when it comes to broadcasting soccer, or are you going to add the Premier League at the beginning of your broadcast day? So in theory, you could be going from 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning all the way till 1 o'clock at night broadcasting soccer if you had both an international and a domestic deal. So that's the thing. That's why you have all of these games from MLS Next Pro that are a part of this deal. That's why you have all of the MLS games that are a part of this deal. That's why you have all of the other programming that's associated with it all. So Apple can turn around and figure out how to maximize revenue and bring in as many advertisers as possible with as many spots available as possible, so they can figure out how to recoup anything close to that $250 a year.
All right, we'll talk to John for a couple more minutes. Let's go and the playoff
That's
format.
amazing. I'm just. Oh.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh. By the way, the camera again supposed to be in front of, not behind. All right, John, we got you for a couple minutes. MLS announced this week a new playoff format beginning the season February 25th. The end of the season, I believe the MLS Cup Championship is December 3rd or something like that. So basically, we got 10 months of soccer.
Yeah. Well, and this is the other part to the TV deal, is that with the new playoff format where you have it like at the NBA where you've got the 8-9 play-in game, and then I don't know if there's going to be reseeding, even though there should be. You'd have the winner of 8-9 play number one, and it's best of three. One plays the winner of 8-9, two plays 7, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5. That is a best of 3. 5 points. 5 points or best of 3. That's what the opening round of the playoffs are this year, and it was announced this week. The conference semifinal, the conference final, and MLS Cup, they're solos. What I'm hoping, as I'm a fan of the two legs, what I would love to see is, and I know that if you're a coach, Carm, you don't want a whole bunch of stuff dumped on you the week before the season starts. It was probably bad enough that you had this dumped on you if you're a coach the week before the season starts, because you've got Major League Soccer, you've got Open Cup, and you've got Leagues Cup this year as well. So you're looking in a perfect world of playing 50 matches, and you get this playoff format dumped in your lap where it's best of 3, then it's 1-1-1. What I'm thinking and what I'm hoping is that in a couple of years, when we all get adjusted to this new playoff format, they will make the conference semi, the conference final, and, if they do it with MLS Cup, that'd be great too, 2 legs. But you don't want to dump 3 plus 6. You don't want to dump a maximum of 9 more games in a team's lap right out of the blocks. That's why I think that they went with 8-9 and then best of 3 or 5 points, and then solo right now. That's what you're getting with Major League Soccer. But the thing is, you're now going to get 5 out of every 8 teams. 62.5% of the teams in Major League Soccer will now make the playoffs. So this sets probably unfair expectations on coaches, and it probably makes triggers a little quicker for those teams that don't make the playoffs, because so many teams are being let in. 18 of the teams are being let into the playoffs now. So you're going to have teams that don't make it probably have quicker triggers in getting rid of their coaches. And then what's the expectation and what's the allowances for the coaches that just get in, that are the 6, 7, 8, 9s? Do they get an extra pass for a year? What about the 8-9 that had a below 500 record, say? Those kinds of things are what we're now going to have to gauge when it comes to coaches and their longevity, because of all of these teams that are now going to be in the playoff picture. So on that note, gentlemen, I will leave that to you to discuss. But I think, like I said, with my hand up in the air, this was stage 1 to a 50-episode television series involving each of these teams. How do we maximize inventory in each of these markets? And you do that by expanding the inventory that you have for TV series. And that's why I think you ended up with 3, 1, 1, and 1 for now. As apparently the first half hour of the show is brought to you by Noble Strong, Lessons in Destiny. There it is. Great book on a great family in a small town when it comes to high school football. His copy and his copy are there. They exist in that office. So when you guys catch up, you'll get your copies of that book, Noble Strong, Lessons in Destiny. Go to Amazon, do a Noble Strong or a John Nelson search, and there you go. Gentlemen, I will catch up with you soon. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Take care, John.
That's Hall of Famer John Freeman Nelson of OSG Sports in Atlanta. And now we're going to switch it here. Or you guys want to talk anything else about MLS, Giancarlo, before we get to CPL? And I got to ask Carmen, I'm seeing a York sweater and all that. Carmen played, his team played today, right, Carmen? You're just hot off the pitch here, right? All right,
They
give us an
destroyed
update.
What's that?
Give us an update.
you destroyed those guys.
No. We played TFC2. It was a good game. It was a good match.
No. Hold on. Giancarlo said you destroyed him. What was the score?
Well, we played 4 30-minute halves. So in the 90 minutes, we tied 1-1. In the extra 30, we actually scored and beat them 2-1. But it was an exercise for us in defending and transition attacking. So there was a lot of good that came out of it for both groups. They're a very talented group as well, and they have a lot of upside. They have some fantastic players. I'm actually looking forward to seeing some of their players. They have, I believe his name's Alonso, a Mexican player that just came in. I can't see how they're going to leave him off the first team. Just a great pass of the ball, great vision, he's a very good player. They probably brought him in to one day replace Bradley, but very good player. I think he played about 60 minutes today and it was a good group. Johnny Cimini does a fantastic job there with Toronto FC2. And last year, I believe they had lost in the semifinals and had a great season. He does really good stuff with this young group, and it'll be interesting to see how well they do in this MLS Next Pro.
All right, and your team, York, what were the pluses and were there any minuses? Because I know what you're going to say. Every game there's a minus. We could work on this. We could work on that. But for once, Carmen, smile, do your hair. What were you happy about?
I was happy about, a lot of our guys are going to be playing in the Canadian Championship. A lot of these guys that played today, a handful of them will be part of it. A handful will be a good part will be part of the League One season. And it's about suffering. I mean, how we're affiliated with Vaughan Soccer Club. From that League One team that did really well in, one League One Ontario, probably 5 guys already have gone to pro next level. A few guys have tried to move on to different pastures. So it's going to be kind of a rebuild for us, but we still had a lot of depth, and it'll be interesting to see. And obviously we have Montreal in the first round, so we're going to have to suffer a lot and see where we're at. So yeah, we're using games like this and other games coming up to kind of prepare our mentality for not only that one game, but for the season moving forward.
What's next for you, your next matches?
Well, we kind of have a closed door scrimmage against York United coming up on Sunday. Just like we call them exercises, we kind of do scenario stuff. Well, as far as I'm concerned, we do kind of scenario stuff. Whether it's a score scenario, whether it's, minute scenario, depending on what the situation is. But everything I hear about York United, is very good. They've got a lot of talent in that group, and I think they're going to be fighting for a CPL championship this year.
So I have a question regarding, because you are on the field, and then you probably watch some matches from up above or in the stands or whatever. And you're the coach. I've never asked you this. What transition do you see when you're on the field? Do you see differently than when you're on top or sitting in seats? And what differences do you see?
Absolutely. I mean, a different vantage point, a different perspective gives you a better idea of spacing, a better idea of where you can be a little more successful in attacking the opposition, or where your deficiencies are in taking away space, or where the disconnections are. All those things are very visible when you're up higher. You remember that World Cup, I believe, CBC or something did that vantage point from drone. I don't think they did it this one, but they had that World Cup, the prior to this one. where they had the vantage point of the drone kind of down on, and it gives you a different perspective on. You see the tactics, you see the movements, you see what spaces you can attack and what spaces you. It just gives you a different vantage point, probably a little bit more clear picture on what you see, what you can see, and where the deficiency are, or where the timings of the situations are different, all those things. So yeah, it's important. I think all coaches need to have someone's eyes up there as well. So we try to do that during the well.
Okay, now this is the time to not get Carmen in trouble. So, Giancarlo, I'll start off with you. All right, the She Believes Cup. All right, the She Believes Cup just happened this week. Canada, 4 teams. Canada finishing last, U.S. first, and all that. And there was some controversy before the tournament starts and all that. Go. What did you think of the She Believes Cup? And talk about the controversy if you want.
I honestly didn't really watch the She Believes Cup, but I'll talk about the controversy. They feel like they've been mistreated in a way. Equality has been brought up a lot, so obviously support them because they're going to be in a World Cup coming up. So I think if they're not getting the financial resources they believe they should be getting, I think that's wrong. And it's about fair on both sides, funding, and if they're going to be, I guess, disgruntled, maybe like going into the World Cup, it's not going to have the best results. So it'd be unfortunate because Christine Sinclair, obviously, you don't know if this is her last one. So it'd be nice if Canada Soccer, CSB, and the Canadian Women's National Team can figure this all out and move forward.
All right. Do I even ask Carmen to rebuttal here, or like he's saying he's keeping tight lip here? Carm, if you don't want to say anything, it's okay. But take us through.
Last week, so I said a lot last week. I think I said enough. Yeah, there's a lot of we talked about the balance to the imbalance and the reasoning why, and the only realities, when in 2000, from whatever it was, 2012 to 2015, 16, the women were at least given 2 times the amount of money, probably more money and resources than the men's team. No one really said anything at that point. So yes, I believe in 100% equality. But if you're complaining that the men had a couple extra camps, it was because they probably had to qualify a little longer than the women, and it was a different circumstance. There's circumstances to everything. And I do know that the women are receiving as much money as the men for compensation for the Men's World Cup, which is absolutely correct, I think. I just I was part of the national program when there was imbalances, and no one said anything. I just wish we would do a better job supporting the CSA, understanding. Well, and the CSA needs to do a better job of being a little bit more transparent. But I think that there's issues there that don't really show the whole picture, right? And then that picture needs to be complete, and everyone needs to see it. So I encourage the CSA, CSB to make sure that they complete this picture, because yes, there's obviously a reason the women feel slighted. And I'm not sure. I wish they would be open, and the CSA would be open and upfront for the reasoning behind this, because I mean, facts are facts, and most of the last, up to maybe the last few years, the women were had more resources than the men. So I ran last week. I will not repeat it. We move on.
Yeah, no, we'll move on. I'm just going to ask you about how disappointing is the tournament.
Brazil, I thought they were playing with some players out of position. Some players that are tired-ish, because a lot of them are in Europe now doing a lot of work, and they had some injuries. But I thought Bev Priestman did a very good job in organizing the group. I think she found out a lot from the group. She found out a lot of things leading into this World Cup. And we'll see a very competitive Canadian team moving forward for sure.
All right, so that's I won't touch on anything else because, like you said, go back here on Fired Up Network and check out last week's soccer show because Carmen was really bang on there. So there you go. Let's turn this the last 10 minutes we have here into MLS because we couldn't hear anything from what Carmen said or whatever. So Carmen, forget about the Apple and all that. Let's look at is there a group of 5 teams that could win the MLS Cup, or is it anybody can win?
Yeah, I mean, I think LAFC coming in, they've made some changes, but they probably are the favorite team. I think LA Galaxy. I think Seattle will recover because they have too much talent, too much resilience, too much grit for that team to kind of stay where they were. On the East, yeah, I agree with John. I said there's a lot of changes anywhere, and one of the we'll call them juggernauts isn't going to be so strong at this point in New York City FC. I think that that'll be a transitional part. I mean, New England, which went from first place to not making the playoffs, that's going to be an interesting. There's a lot of projects in the East for me. There's a lot of projects with not a lot of stability, and Toronto FC fits into that project mentality. Everyone's questioning where they're going to get the goals from their 9, what number 9 they have in Dia, and who they're going to bring in. So there's just a lot of question marks in the East, and I don't see any real. Philadelphia for me is going to have that chip on their shoulder and probably still the best team in MLS. But it's not a sprint. It's a long race, and the most consistent team when it matters most. I don't think we've established that in the East yet, other than Philadelphia. That's pretty much for me it right now. That should be considered a favorite in the East. And the West, obviously LAFC. I think Seattle's going to make a massive comeback. And then there's a lot of question marks there, but there's a lot of good teams there in the West.
All right, I'll get to Giancarlo now here. Giancarlo, TFC opens up against DC tomorrow, 7:30 Audi Stadium here. I'm going to ask you 2 parts here. If TFC has a slow start like they did last year and the year before, could he be sacked? Put it that way. And Wayne Rooney, what do you expect from Wayne Rooney?
Yeah, I don't think Bradley's going anywhere. It's not going to be a Chris Armas situation. He was brought in to turn this around, and he's been given 2 players to do that. There's 1 DP spot still there, so they'll hit the panic button if they need to come July. So they'll evaluate throughout the season to see what part of their roster they need to fill that gap and take the next 6 months to figure out who can be that guy to come in. I think TFC are going to be fine. I think they got Sean Johnson now in net. Hedges is more stable back there. You got Insigne, Bernadeschi all season coming in from training camp. They're not coming in halfway through and getting acquainted with everybody. They know what they're expected of. So I got TFC winning tomorrow.
And what about Wayne Rooney? What do you expect? Because, when maybe I should ask Karim, when you have like an all-time player and then move into coaching, but he's not usually successful, that is a burden on the great player, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes very difficult translating the intuitive to the practical or to the theoretical. And then I'll use our example. When I started at TFC, there was Mo Johnson there, who was a fantastic player, incredible player, but had trouble putting training sessions together that would kind of match what his intuitive abilities were. So that's important. Coaching, philosophy, and putting your philosophy on the field, reacting to different moments or situations. That's not about intuition. That's about education. That's about and adaptability as well. but it starts from education, a level of education, and you know, Rooney was an incredible player, probably one of the best players England's ever produced. But you know, it's tough for him probably to put that theoretical stuff in motion when he sees things so easily, and it's not easily to translate that to players sometimes. So yeah, that could be something for sure, that he's having trouble with as far as the tactical side of it is. But you know, and the key is surrounding yourself with people that can do that, because the most important thing about Mo Johnson and Wayne Rooney was their presence, and was their input on their you know, their mentality, their winning mentality. All those things, you know, are very you know, they spread. So that's what Rooney can give, the proper mentality, the proper winning attitude. But you know, on the other hand, things don't happen just because, you know, you say them or you are them. You have to have more to your intuitive abilities. You have to have that theoretical ability. You have to have that tactical ability, which, you know what, he may develop as time. And there's been amazing players that have developed at time. You look at Carlo Ancelotti, you look at Pep Guardiola, you know, and then you look at other ones where they weren't so good players, or they didn't have that, like Klopp and Mourinho. But you know, there's there, you have to have that education, that theoretical ability to translate. It can't just be because of your persona or because of your intuitive ability. So I think that's going to be the biggest test for Rooney, and how he's going to translate his message to his players, which, you know, although the sample size wasn't complete, it was still big enough to say that, hey, DC United, they didn't get it. They weren't good, and you know what? This is going to be a massive test for them against TFC, who's going to be the you know, the ultra more talented team, and they'll see how they react.
So let me ask, getting back to you, Carm, here first. Which team in the MLS has the most pressure on them as we start the season?
I mean, because we're here, I think. Well, I think Philadelphia has a lot of pressure on them to win it, obviously, after what happened last year and how the ups and downs and ebbs and flows. You know, it's a playoff league. You have to be at your best when you have to be at your best. And Philadelphia was incredible, but didn't finish the job. So that's a lot of pressure for them to get to where they were and better. I think Toronto FC and Bill Manning and Bob Bradley, more Bill Manning than Bob Bradley. I agree with Giancarlo, has more pressure on him to make sure that they recover, because this is a buying team. This is a big city team. You know, and they're not owned by Manchester City like NYFC, that can kind of put they can put products, or they can put potential players in the group. No, this is a big time program that needs to win. Toronto FC has a lot of pressure on them because of the money they spent, because of the what MLSE is in the community. So they have a lot of pressure on them to win right now, and I think that you know,
What
they're
about
one of the.
Miami, because they spend, and they're. I don't have to tell you. There's talk of Messi and all that every year. Miami seems like they. What about Miami?
Miami's pressure is coming in and entertaining. They have to entertain. That's it. Miami is the entertainment capital of the world. Like, people are different. There's parties. And Inter Miami has to emulate what the city is. Their city is a you know, is a show every night. You know, and there's parties, and there's beautiful people, and that's what Beckham and company, you know, strive for. They just don't have the practical ability right now for me to be champions. They don't surround themselves. They didn't surround Higuain and company and Martinez right now, and Pozuelo with the players that are they're gonna be attractive, and they're gonna be fun to watch. But you know, that's probably not going to translate into the playoffs, or a playoff run that makes an impact.
You've been around millions of cities. You've been playing. I know you're going to say Milwaukee or whatever, but give us 2 or 3 of your best cities that forget about playing the games. They're actually, I went in there and it's actually a nice city and all that.
I mean, I had some good times and some. Obviously, Miami was amazing. I had some
It's
good
just
times
because of the weather in Miami, right, Carmen? It's because of the weather.
just the weather. Just the weather. I had some. It's just amazing. I had some incredible times. A great city that doesn't get enough credit for me is Nashville. Nashville's a fun place. Nashville has a lot to do. I like that city a lot. Maybe it might be the kind of Midwest in me from places like that. But I loved Chicago as well. Chicago is a great city. New York is incredible. So there's a lot of as far as awe enacting cities. I think that Miami for sure, and New York for sure. But as far as cities that are complete and full and it's nice to be at. I thought Nashville was incredible as well. It's a great city.
You played in Milwaukee, and from what I hear, Milwaukee's a very unsung city. There, that it's very quiet, but if they love you, they love you, right? So take us through
Well,
Milwaukee.
I was there. Harley Davidson's 100th anniversary. The last thing it was quiet. That's for sure.
Wow, and they didn't give you a motorcycle for your. I hear you were the best goalie ever. They didn't give you a
Yeah.
motorcycle.
No, no motorcycle. No, Milwaukee was a great city, great town. Lots to do, great people. But there's been other cities that are incredible. I mean, you just California cities, and I mean those are things to behold as well. The Santa Barbaras and the San Diegos of the world, San Francisco's, just beautiful, incredible. Like there's so much to do in North American cities, and I was playing in they call it the second division, but it was well worth it. Playing in Seattle against Seattle back in the day, San Diego back in the day, and San Francisco was in a place called Salinas. A lot of great places that just they invoke awe and different stories. So I used to be a big reader. So and Jack Kerouac, minus the drugs, was really good. So you get to see a lot of what he saw. And that's it.
So
okay, what the soccer show, Joe?
This is the soccer show. You're world famous. Giancarlo, what's his name? The headmaster coach, man. Come on.
Talk about Jack.
Hold on. I'm going to ask you one more question before we talk. Okay, you mentioned. Hold on. You mentioned you're the coach and all of that. Okay, listen. You mentioned you're a coach and it takes mentality and all that. Do you, as a coach, every day learn how to get better? Because players, you probably tell, okay, they got to practice. You got to learn how to get better. You got to defend. You got to do this. What are you as the coach? Because nobody ever hears how much pressure and what you do every day as a coach. Take us through like daily as a coach. Okay, you lost or you won 5-0 or you lost 4-1. Do you go back into your office and say, okay, I got to practice this. We got to be this. We got to do better this way or whatever. Take us through that.
Absolutely. I mean, the coaching, like for me, coaching is also adaptability. I mean, I'm like most coaches are not Pep Guardiola or Arteta or Klopp. They have to be adaptable and they have to be kind of very flexible. All right, they're like the Pep way and all that stuff doesn't always exist, from year 1 of York University students to year 4 of York University students. Obviously all relative comparing it to your competition. But there's so many situations that you need to be adaptable to, and you need to be player first mentality as well. Because a lot of coaches kind of get stuck in the whole Pep Guardiola. I'm going to invert my wing back. I'm going to play tiki-taki soccer all the time, but that's not the case. You have to be adaptable to, like, the truth is in the youth sport or university system where the players aren't as technical, or you still have to find a way to be to win, number one, and to find a way to be efficient, and give them the proper skill set to get to that next level for CPL, MLS, whatever, USL, whatever it is. So there's a lot of things as a coach that you want to, obviously, player development, winning, all that stuff has to come into play. But all importantly is setting a standard for your players and to be better people as well. But mostly to see those are all encompassing things. Like Pep Guardiola has his philosophy, his system, and he does it to a T. But no one ever notices how he adapts to things. You know how Jurgen Klopp went to a 4-4-2 for a while because they couldn't get any attacking options, and they couldn't break down defenses, and they're obviously still struggling, and who knows what they're going to come out with after they gave up 5 goals against Real Madrid. So that's adaptability. So there's changes. The only coaches that you never see change 1,000% are probably Pep, are probably Conte. You look at Inzaghi, what he's doing at Inter. It's very, very very direct and very defined and very. Then that's good for players. But there's also different types of philosophy, and us as coaches, as whether it's semi-pro or middle pro, you don't always have that ability to be stubborn, not stubborn, but to be sort of set in your ways. You have to have flexibility. You have to have flexibility in your pressing. You have to have flexibility in your building out of the back, how to break down teams. For me, that's what I enjoy about what I have to do as a coach.
Okay, one last question as a coach, and then we'll go to Europa League and Champions League and all that, and then we'll ask Giancarlo and I'm going to ask you because I've never asked you this. As a coach, what is your biggest regret?
Biggest regret as a coach? You know what?
Not coaching me, the president of the provinces of Canada, right?
Oh, no. I don't have many regrets about, like, I don't know if it's a lack of ambition. I don't think it's that, but I think it's always kind of being true to yourself, right? Putting integrity first, doing the right thing first. I think that it's like, on the field and what's happened as a coach, that's been a number one priority. I don't have regrets. I mean, I don't have regrets, not adapting to the masses of what pro soccer could be at times, because, I was at TFC for a while, and you know what, it's not in my character, nor I was brought up this way, not to slight my integrity, to get to next levels, or slight what I think is right. And on the other hand, I've been with some fantastic people in the national program as well, where I've learned so much. So, regrets, I don't think I can walk around with regrets or like, I'm just lucky. I've been lucky to be with a great support system on the field, and then I've watched my peers and people that work together with me, like Patrice Geyser, do amazing things and do get going to Halifax, which is, that's something we celebrate. And I'm so happy to say that we celebrate that stuff because, and we've given those guys like Patrice the mentorship and the ability to grow and the ability to become a better coach and become, better than myself. So that's important. And I'm happy about that.
Let me look at the other way, because we always talk about negative. What is your biggest accomplishment that you would say as a coach? Forget as a player in Milwaukee drinking with Laverne and Shirley, but as a coach, what has been your biggest accomplishment?
I mean, as a York coach, biggest accomplishment.
What you would say
as a York coach, like, I'm being sincere when I say this. Some of the best accomplishments is giving kids the academic opportunity to fail, and them coming through it with a degree. I had kids like Jarek Whiteman, who never got an opportunity to be a pro, but he fought his way. And the most proud moment was when we had his graduation ceremony, and he graduated. There's other kids that have gone through that, and then there's other kids like again, this name comes up a lot, but there's a Ryan Telfer, Mark Anthony Kay, their resilience, being part of that, challenging them. Those are accomplishments in my eyes. Being good prognosticators for talent as well. Pushing players like Jonathan Osorio because of what his potential is, and I don't think he's reached his potential. I think it's a massive potential. So all those things are things that I'm proud of, and me and our new group, we have a kid. He came from Uganda, U20 kid, Canadian kid, just giving him opportunities to get to that next level. Him being able to play against TFC2 today and just excelling at points, making mistakes at other points. But you know what? I hope to see him become something special. That's important for me.
All right, so that's Giancarlo has been quiet for 20 minutes here. So Giancarlo, Nations League action yesterday. They had Nations League. Let's recap the Nation League and Champions League. Go ahead.
Yeah, Manchester City is what I saw the other day. So I don't know what this.
What about Juventus? Come on.
Yeah, what about Inter? What about Carmen?
What about all the Italian teams are doing well in the European Cups right now? All right, Roma, Lazio, Fiorentina, Inter, Milan. Look, all those teams have done well in the UEFA, in the Champions League. It's long time coming, but let's hope it continues that way. Real Madrid was Liverpool. Whoa, they're such what a transition they made from being incredible to fighting for obviously Real Madrid in the final to the second half debacle. Wow, lots to fix, but what great entertainment. Manchester United, Barcelona. Ten Hag for me has established himself right then and there as a very good tactician. Not only tactician, but coming into a situation where he was down and building that belief in his group. All kinds of soccer has been fantastic, and lots to come.
Yeah, it's great to see all these teams because up, down, and we don't have to talk about the EPL, right? Giancarlo, you'll start us off with the EPL. I know what you're gonna say, your favorite team or whatever, but it's been bunched up, and for one guy, and Carm, you know who I'm talking about, Norm, Chelsea, very disappointing season. What do you think Chelsea would do now?
Giancarlo or me?
Oh, that was
you first. You first.
Chelsea, this was bound to happen. Whether it's Potter or whether it was Tuchel, it's bound to happen because of their plethora of talent and the inability to have that consistency. They have so many players bought right now that it's like, is it? And you look at Pep. He rotates 3 or 4, maybe 5, right? Gives the young guys opportunities here and there. But his core is his core. If you tell me who Chelsea's core is, I couldn't tell you right now. They've used so many players, many different positions, so many different situations. They don't have a core. And I'm not asking you to put a top 11. I'll ask you to put a top 18, 20, 24. That they don't have that consistency. I think Potter needs to stay the course. I think getting rid of Graham Potter would be a disaster for Chelsea because I think he's bringing that stability. And you look at the game against Southampton, that was incredible. Like how many chances they created, and Raheem Sterling, who is in the prime of his career, that needs to finish those chances. But it's still good football. It's much better than it was under Lampard. I think that they're heading in the right direction, but I just think that they need to find out in player selection what that actual direction is. Ziyech and Pulisic, and so many players that are alike, and so many players that that play fantastic football. But for me, there's no firm answer. There's no one way to do things, and that's not because of Potter. For me, it's because of the way the rotating door has been, and Ziyech has been given opportunities at certain points, and their backs, obviously a nasty incident with Azpilicueta. There's no stability. Silva, who's been somewhat stable, but he's now 36 years old, 35, 36 years old. So those are old legs. So yeah, lots of question marks for Chelsea, but this was bound to happen. This was bound to happen because of just too much. There's too much. There's too much talent. There's too much everything. And losing Conte and losing that kind of, we talk about, we use the word stability a lot in that midfield is terrible as well.
All right, Giancarlo, give me your thoughts on EPL, and then we'll close it out with something else. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just surprised at Fulham, the kind of season they've had. They're 3 points out of the top 5, and Mitrovic has continued to scoring at this level. I think he's one of the players I think are going to be circled around at the end of the year. I think other teams are going to look at him. I see him maybe going to one of the other top 3 teams, maybe even Chelsea. They'll add him to their bench. Or maybe he goes somewhere else in Europe, but I think he has a big money move after this year just because of what he's been able to do with the Championship and now the Premier League and his second shot there. And if he can get Fulham to a top 5 finish, I think he's a guy that could be on the move.
All right, and you guys mentioned Italian. I got to mention Spanish. Sergio Ramos says, hasta luego. The coach doesn't want him. Carm, have you ever had a situation where a player says bye-bye because the coach doesn't want you?
Sergio Ramos of PSG?
Sergio Ramos of Spain, coached.
Oh, yes. Well, they're bringing in a new coach. I don't know. Luis Enrique's done with the national team, so he's still maybe up for selection. I think that's I think. Could they have would I have selected Sergio Ramos for the World Cup with the Spanish team as they were? 1,000%. But, Luis Enrique is, the whole situation of Real Madrid versus Barcelona, that may come into play. But so a lot of his selections were, the Barcelona style, the Barcelona way. But for me, Ramos is there's probably thought he wouldn't be good in the locker room not playing. There's all kinds of issues. But the way he played and the way he's played for Spain, 1,000% I would make Sergio Ramos a selection.
All right, so we're going to close it out here, but we have a question from Carmen's best friend, Marty Roberts. Marty Roberts wants to know, give me your prediction between TFC and DC, the score, because he's going to bet on one of these betting sites. Go ahead.
TFC, if you look at their preseason, underwhelming, very underwhelming. But I think that this DC is preseason not prepared. I think it'll be at least 3-1 TFC.
3-1 TFC. Giancarlo, what do you say?
4-0.
Oh, he said no. He said no. You know what that means, Carm? We got to go celebrate at Nino Diversa. Giancarlo, tell everybody how they get a hold of you. Nil.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, John_411, Instagram, Giancarlo_Alino. Check my articles out on firedupnetwork.ca and sportskeeda.com. And if you're in Toronto, check me out on Vibe 105. Our most recent interview with Tracy Murray is airing, so tune into that.
Yeah, I saw that interview. He talks about the NWO. When is Carmen Asako going to be part of the NWO? Carmen, I know you wanted an NWO shirt and everything like that. Come on, NWO, right? All right. So, Carm, I'm not going to give away your address or anything like that. But, Carm, what do you have planned for this week? Nobody get a hold of Carmen Asako. He doesn't want to be bothered except by Joe. So, what do you have planned for this weekend?
We're going to the soccer summit in Ottawa for a day. And then, like I said, we have a little scrimmage on Sunday back here. So just working, and this soccer summit should be interesting. Mr. John Herdman himself will be there presenting. So that'll be interesting. And I'm sure entertaining for sure.
All right, and by the way, next Friday is the NHL trade deadline show. I've talked to Carmen Asako. He's a huge Maple Leaf fan. Carmen Asako, there will not be a soccer show next Friday because I'm doing wall-by-wall coverage of the NHL trade deadline. Carmen, you're going to be one of our insiders for NHL hockey trade deadline show. How do you like that, Carm?
I'm just amazed that Terry O'Reilly's still playing hockey. I thought
Terry O'Reilly, that's right, not Ryan O'Reilly. Terry O'Reilly playing.
O'Reilly was a. Remember Terry O'Reilly back in the day?
Yes, in Boston. Come on, I remember. Giancarlo doesn't remember that. Come on.
I'm still playing hockey. Good for him.
By the way, what a goal! 3 goals for Ryan O'Reilly. The Leafs, Minnesota Wild tonight at the Scotiabank Arena. Carm, let's break it down. Your pick. 4-1. 4-1.
5-2 Leafs.
Yeah, he's 5-2 Leafs. Ryan O'Reilly score a goal?
Terry O'Reilly might score a goal, yes.
That's it. So there you go.
Terry O'Reilly.
Don't forget, TFC.
He'll probably fight Rick Vive. So
Rick
watch
Vive,
out for that one.
And Miroslav Feature. Don't forget about him and Peter Inachek and all that. And Peter Ing, the goalie. But don't forget, this Saturday, TFC opens up the regular season. But do you know what starts also Saturday? Spring training. The Blue Jays. Carm, what are your thoughts about the Blue Jays renovating Rogers Center? And now the seats, instead of $20, are going to cost you $200. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, interesting. Rogers Center is a staple here. It's about time they renovated it. Had some good times in that place for sure. A lot of good stories.
You're talking about old Milwaukee, right? Again, okay, yeah. All right.
No, I'm talking about the Sky.
You're talking about what?
Remember the Sky?
Yeah,
Sky Dome.
Yes, I know. You're talking about the hotel room that I had to call you and text you. Close the curtains and all that. That's what. All right. So for John Nelson, Giancarlo Lino, and Carmen Asako, this has been the soccer show here on the Fired Up Network. Everyone, stay tuned for more great programming and have a great weekend. And say bye to Carmen Asako. Tell him to close the curtains.